Gosh, it's all gone quiet, so you must be expecting me to start. Okay, so I'd like to welcome you all to our distance learning event, Never Mind the Gap, Teaching at a Distance in the Digital Age. I'd particularly like to welcome those of you who've travelled to Manchester to be with us today. Just a few housekeeping things before we get started. The fire alarms are practiced on a Tuesday, so if the alarm does go on, it's not a practice, and so you need to go up and out through the way that you came in. You'll find it very clearly marked should we need to exit the building. Toilets are in the basement, so you need to go down the stairs and you'll find the toilets there. So my name is Catherine Els. I'm the chair of the Manchester Distance Learning Network, and I'd like to take this opportunity just to tell you a few things about the Manchester Distance Learning, or Madlen as we like to call it. So Manchester Distance Learning Network, it was founded in 2011. And it brings together people who are interested in distance learning from all angles. So it's composed of distance learning practitioners, some people who've been practicing distance learning for many, many years, and also people who are new to distance learning or are interested in becoming involved in distance learning. We also have a group of people who are actively involved in distance learning research. We also have on the forum e-learning technologists and people who are very interested in the student support aspects relating to distance learning. We embrace all aspects of teaching, really. We do it distance learning at undergraduate level, postgraduate taught level. We're interested in distance learning for PhD by research, and we're also interested in open education. So why did we think it was important to found Madlen? Well, we really wanted a forum that would embrace and allow us to innovate and share best practice across the university and, importantly, to the wider distance learning community. Part of the network involves a Twitter feed. So this is shown on my slide here, so at Madlen 1824. If any of you do want to tweet during the afternoon, then please, if you can use hashtag Madlen, then that would be great. We also have a Facebook page, which again, it's shown here. And this is our online community of practice, which we are launching today. So Madlen has a number of subgroups. One of these subgroups is the events subgroup, which is chaired by Kathy Thomas-Varco, and it's the results of the hard work of this subgroup that this first event is happening today. We have a vision of a series of events, so we plan to have 3 similar face-to-face meetings every year, and also a series of webinars between those face-to-face meetings. So if I can just let you know when the next face-to-face event is. So in October, on the 8th of October, we're going to have a similar event to this with a sort of similar title, actually, Closing the Gap on the Off-Campus Student Experience. So that's the 8th of October at 12:30, and you'll be able to find out more about that event by visiting our website. Between these face-to-face events, we're going to have webinars, and we've got 2 webinars planned before that October event. The first of those is Teaching Interactingly Using Nearpod, and that's going to be on the 14th of May, and Creating Interactive Online Teaching Packages Using iSpring, and that's on the 1st of July. So if you are interested in those events, then please come and look at our website where you can find out more information on that. So this is probably a really good opportunity for me to thank our sponsors. So you'll see at the bottom of the slide we've been sponsored by Blackboard, Nearpod, SoftChalk and iSpring. And to remind you to look after your badges, because these are lucky name badges. We've had a very a generous donation of software licenses, so we will be drawing numbers out of a hat later on. So yes, please look after your badges. So as well as the subgroup of our events group, we've also had a very busy working party which has been developing a community of practice. So this is an online community of practice, and this is launching today as well. And so I'm very pleased to introduce you to Professor Richard Rees, who is the Associate Vice President for Teaching, Learning and Students at the University of Manchester. He's also the chair of the university's Distance Learning Strategy Group, and he is going to launch our online community of practice. So, to Richard.
Thank you very much, Kath. I'll try and mic myself up, so I apologise if it all starts to fall apart. I think one of the great... Wow. I think one of the great things about these sorts of meetings is that distance learning by its very nature is at a distance. We not only have a distance between the teacher and the student, but actually we can often have distances between practitioners as well. Oh, that's not a good sign, is it? Well, hey. So one of the great things, and one of the reasons that I'm very keen to support events like this, is to ensure that as a community of distance learners or a community of educators who use online tools, we can get together and really start to share good practice. And I was very pleased when Kath Elson and Kathy asked me to formally launch the virtual community of practice. I feel a bit guilty doing so because it's really been very little to do with me and all to do with a whole variety of people across the institution who've been involved in pulling these resources together. But what we hope this resource will provide is an excellent way in which we can start to feed information. So we can start to use resources that have been developed for one course, or expertise that's developed for one course or one particular program, and really use those across a much wider aspect. First of all, for those of you who aren't from Manchester, welcome to Manchester. For those of you who are from Manchester, welcome anyway. For those of you who don't know Manchester, this is normally what the sky looks like in Manchester. It never rains here at all. The University of Manchester is large. We are the largest single-site university within the UK, and we have something approaching 40,000 students on campus and about 10,000 staff, of which about 3,000 or so will be academics. So we're a very large organisation. The turnover of the University of Manchester in 2012-13 exceeded £800 million. That sounds like a very large number. It is a very large number. To kind of put that into context, an income of over 800 million is larger than the income for Manchester Airport. It's actually also larger than the income generated by Manchester City and Manchester United. And in fact, it's larger than all three of these combined. Actually, given the football score last night, I should have probably made that one a bit bigger, shouldn't I? But 3 times the size, possibly, but no, never mind. So the university is a huge enterprise and very important to the economy of the Northwest, but also particularly, of course, to the economy of Manchester. The number of people that we employ is clearly one thing, but of course the number of students that we train and the way in which we send them out into the world is also very important as well. Our research, as many of us will know, is highly rated. The Shanghai Jiaotong Index ranks the University of Manchester 41st in the world, based on criteria that are largely research excellence based. We have 23 Nobel laureates amongst our former staff, and the last Nobel Prize was awarded to 2 of our physics members of staff for the discovery of graphene. That's all nice and well and good, but of course what those numbers don't necessarily tell you is something that's related to distance learning. The University of Manchester, although perhaps not world-renowned for distance learning yet, actually has a very large number of distance learning students. So we have about 7,000 or so distance learning students across the campus. No, sorry, across the world, who are enrolled in programs that are run from across the campus. And in a number of cases, these are relatively small programs, and some of them are very large. So we have a very big mix of programs in there. Many of you sitting around here will know far better than I do. One thing that I've been very keen to do, though, is to make sure that we can come together as a community to share practice. That's really one of the really important things. Having distance learning programs growing up more or less as cottage industries has served the university well. We've got 7,000 distance learning students that are registered in our programs. But I think many of us who have looked at this realize that we can do so much more. There are lots of reasons that we would want to, as an institution, invest more heavily in distance learning programs, which will, perhaps something to do with the way that student fees are now charged to students who are on campus, and the opportunities that distance learning gives for students to be able to study in different ways at different times of their careers, in different aspects, in different countries. There's a whole variety of different reasons that we would want to do it. But the university is becoming more and more convinced that investing in distance learning is the right approach to do. So Kath and Catherine asked me to formally launch the virtual community of practice, which is part of the distance learning network. So why would we want to launch a community of practice? As I've already mentioned, we want to promote knowledge transfer. We want to be able to allow expertise and skills that are developed for the production of one course, one unit, one module to be transferred to the rest of the institutions so that we can learn from that as a group of distance learning practitioners. We want to encourage networking. Please talk to the person next to you. Please have a cup of coffee. We want to encourage wider collaboration. So again, it's not just necessarily within Manchester, but it's the whole distance learning community of practitioners that we would hope to be able to have a forum so that they can interact with. And of course, more generally, the distance learning network and the virtual community practice is part of a commitment on behalf of the university to a much wider distance learning strategy. And that's one of the things that the Distance Learning Strategy Group, as its name suggests, is currently in the process of really trying to develop a much more coherent approach to the delivery of distance learning courses, distance learning students, and the way that we would want to, as an institution, look after each of those components. This is the web address. It's on your badges. The web address itself is part of the Teaching and Learning Support Office website, but manchester.ac.uk, so tlso.manchester.ac.uk/distance. When I first started doing this, I think Kathy really wanted me to do a live demonstration of the website. For those of you who've done live demonstrations before, you know they invariably don't work. Nothing necessarily to do with the website, but usually to do with connectivity. So I've got some images of what's on there, but if you've got pages in front of you, devices in front of you, then of course you can look at these too as you go through. So the landing page of the virtual community of practice looks like this. It's split up into different sections that look after general distance learning, teaching, community, and studying. And on the right-hand side here, we have the Twitter feed that Kath Else mentioned earlier on, and you can look into various aspects of that, and hopefully there'll be more tweets going up there as a consequence of today's session. In terms of the teaching side, again, there's information on there that we've started to collect and collate, put together to allow teachers to be able to tap into resources that are already available around the university and have been collected in these resources. So there's sections on why do distance learning, how to get started in distance learning programs, and there's also a section in there on massive open online courses. I know Ian Hutt's sitting down here at the bottom. He's the University of Manchester MOOC manager, who will be, his name's here, and he's involved in coordinating the MOOCs, which for the university should be starting to run in mid-April. The first course with Coursera is scheduled to go live in mid-April. The community pages, again, go through a variety of different topics that we as distance learners would be interested in. Some of the things here are to do with networking and social media, the way that we can respond to those. And there's also a section here on being able to access some of the distance learning literature so that we can go through and understand and see what's there. There's also a section for students, distance learning students. Again, gives them information, particularly on difficult areas for distance learning students, areas that many universities haven't really tackled properly yet. But I hope at the University of Manchester we're starting to do so in a much more coherent way. A lot of things like student support to make sure that students are properly looked after through their studies, and we can go through those. And again, there's information on there on the various sections that are available to them. This is just a start. The virtual community of practice is really its first iteration. It's formally being launched today, and I'm very pleased to be able to do so. If anybody has, this is rather dangerous, I think, Kath, giving your email address out there, but if anybody has comments on the pages themselves, want to suggest additions, changes, anything else, please feel free to click on the button as it goes through there, and make sure that we can make these as good as they possibly can be to support the distance learning community. It's what we're very keen to do. That's the programme there. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Richard. So, to start our session off this afternoon then, we've got Dr. Gary Mottram, who's going to discuss with us his experiences of using the social media in teaching. So Gary is Senior Lecturer in Education, and he's also the Head of Distance Learning within his school at the university.
Okay. So